social media for the council as well.
Thank you. Cole?
My name is Cole Mitchell, District Executive for BlackRock District, so cover Schuylkill County. Whatever units need, I do my best to help them. So there you go.
Thanks. Chaz?
Chaz Andrews. I'm the District Executive for Frontier District, which covers the eastern half of Berks County.
Ryan?
Hello, I'm Ryan Stagnant. I am the District Executive for Cruising District, which is the western half of Berks County. So I'm Chaz's counterpart right there.
Thank you. And did I miss everybody? Did I get everybody? Okay, I believe we got them all. So purpose of tonight's meeting is get you all ready for our fall recruitment. We'll throw a lot of ideas past you, give you some tips on where you go to get resources to help with your fall recruiting. So we're going to get right along into the program. And I'm going to start with Brian, if you want to take care of going over the Family Den pilot program, please.
I'm going to do a quick safety moment, if you would. The B.S.A. asked all of us as unit leaders at our unit meetings to run a safety minute to help reduce liability and injuries and help support us in our efforts to lower our insurance costs. So I'll do the same one that I did last night, which was talking about energy drinks. And maybe not so much for us as adults, but for the kids that are in our units. And one of the main concerns for energy drinks is many of them contain a high amount of caffeine, as much as 4 or 5, 8-ounce cups of coffee at one time, which certainly can wreak havoc upon your heart, your nervous system, your liver, that I learned yesterday as well, blood pressure, and different things. So I ask you just to keep an eye on the kids in your unit. And if you feel like you've got a child or two that may be drinking a can or two when they really shouldn't be, make sure you have that conversation with the family and respectfully address that. If you would like to also include safety minutes in your meetings, if you go to Google and just do B.S.A. safety moments, the document will come up. There's over 100 of them. It's available for us as leaders. And so Jerry had mentioned the Family Den pilot program, and the national organization earlier this year, back in April, May, and June, had asked councils to register dens and what the national office called their Family Den pilot program, which addresses packs being made up of females and males. While we know our council, we've been doing this for years, and the National B.S.A. also knows other councils have been doing it for years as well. So there is a memorandum of understanding that I will ask tonight, if you're a leader on the call, and after I have this discussion, if you accept verbally the contract, the memorandum of understanding, I'm going to ask you in the chat just to list your name and your unit number, and just put Family Den pilot program. So what the national office is asking units to do is to use Scout Book to set up their dens, get approval from the charter partner for a couple of more steps here that I'm going to talk about. To send a representative to a meeting on June 30th, that's already passed, so we don't have to worry about that. To run your dens individually by age and by rank. Okay, and then the important component to that is that our 5th grade Arrow of Light program, that will remain single gender. So we'll have boys and we'll have girls, but we will not have a co-ed 5th grade Arrow of Light den. That your registered leaders. You'll have them for every den. And that I'm your point of contact if you have questions. Now, what I will say is that this is what the national organization is asking us to do. They're not telling us that we have to do it. And if we can't do it, you still can't sign this memorandum of understanding. So I hope that makes sense. They're going to look for feedback from you at the end of this pilot program. And I think many of you may say, we had to combine dens because we didn't have enough leaders with that. And, you know, they're, again, looking for some additional feedback. One of the other components that they're asking is that if you have girls in the program, you must have female leadership in the program, which, you know, that's part of our youth protection now. With that when the kids are buddied up together in appropriate situations, that those buddies must be same gender. So we can't have a young lady and a young man be buddies. Have to be single gender to do that. So I have an official copy of the memorandum of understanding, but what we're doing really is kind of opting in with people. And as long as you give me a verbal in the chat bar over here, we can get you registered for the program. So are there any questions? This is one point where I will take some questions if you want to unmute and ask a question.
Hi, this is Amy from PAC 431.
Okay.
We are already a family PAC. So we've had girls for several years now. It sounds to me like the only difference is separating the AOLs. Is that correct?
It pretty much is. And yes, the B.S.A. realized that the cart got out in front of the horse. We were all doing it. They're just trying to get some national data on that. So yes, that's pretty much it. Again, the reminder that when the kids are out doing activities, their buddies need to be single gender with that. And a unit is really trying their best to offer the individual dens and not combined, which, you know, it's a natural fit maybe to combine lions and tigers, right? And leadership will dictate that. But again, this is a way that we're trying to standardize some stuff, we being the national organization, and then are looking for feedback to continually try to improve the delivery of the program. But yes, Amy, you were correct.
Okay, thank you.
So what do we do if we don't have a leader for the den?
When the Boy Scouts of America ask for that feedback, you say that you've got to do what I've got to do. And in some cases, I've got a den that's combined.
Okay.
So they're not coming after you. They're not coming to shut you down. The Hog Mountain Council is not coming to shut anybody down to do that. Really, they're looking for feedback. They're looking for objective feedback from the nation to say this works or it doesn't work. This is what we have to do. This is real life. We know what the textbook says, but Monday nights in my church basement, that textbook doesn't do me any good, you know, when I've got 5 dens and I've got 4 leaders. And that's probably not a good example because that's not too deep leadership. And the other component is to make sure that we have 2 deep leadership with our kids, and that 2 deep leadership, those adults are 21 years of age and over. If your unit is boys only or girls only, that's okay, right? Because you've got the choice. Your charter partner has a choice to do that. And this family den program would not apply to you if you're not accepting boys and girls in the program. All right, thank you very much. Again, if you've got questions tomorrow or later in the week, feel free to reach out to me here at the office. All right, Jerry, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Brian. So what we're going to go over tonight, again, like I said, is some of the key things that are going to hopefully help you start off your year with a good, strong recruitment. I don't know how many of you all out there have ever put together goals on what you'd like to recruit, but it's a very important aspect of the program. It's hard to sign up the number of kids you need to keep your pack vital and growing if you don't know what that number is. So I encourage you, challenge you all to give yourself a goal this year as you're going into the recruiting season. Okay, there we go. Brian has it up on for you all to see now. So we're going to move along. If you want to click some of those slides along, Brian. And the next one, know your audience. Who are we targeting when we're looking for recruitment? The answer to that question most times is mom. All our studies have shown that mom is the person who we need to, I hate to use the word convince, but at the end of the day, convince that scouting is right for her son or daughter. If mom is willing to sign her child up for the program, you usually have them. They're the one that we're looking for. So who is mom? Today's mom, what are we looking for? Today's mom is a bit skeptical. She questions marketing and will search the web and social media to validate the info. She is spread thin, so things need to be made easy for her. They worry about their kids. COVID has only helped to make that worse in most cases than what it has been in the past. And she doesn't have a relationship with scouting in her family. We're finding that most of the new moms that are signing up their kids for scouting have had no previous experience with scouting before at all. Demographics, she's 38, married, 75,000 or more in income. Most come from a 2-income family and have a 4-year degree. Where does mom go for her information? Social media. That's where most of the information is passing through to today's mom. Moving along. Our plan for measurement. How do you know something works? You measure it. Again, this goes back to setting goals. Social media engagement, Facebook analytics. They can track your likes, comments, shares, and visits to your event page. And the social media aspect, we're going to touch on more in depth as we go through the program. You can use flyers, yard signs, or posters. And on all of them, you can use QR codes to track click-through rates. Again, we're going to talk much more on QR codes as we go through the program. Emails, you can track how many emails have been opened, and again, click-through rates and attendance at events. If you're having a sign-up event, take attendance. Get an idea how many people were there. If you sent out invites, how many invites you've sent out, and talk about it. What worked, what didn't work. That's some things you're going to try that's going to work for you that have not worked for other units, and vice versa. And that way, as we move this program along through the years, you know what you've tried in the past and didn't work and can work on changing that. So I mentioned QR codes. I'm going to turn the floor over to Michael right now, and he's going to touch more on that for you.
All right, thank you, Jerry. So QR codes make things a lot simpler, as we know, in everyday life. Whatever it may be, from seeing a business flyer or something on social media, you always see QR codes everywhere. It's, the little square box that's there that says scan me. You can get a lot more information out to parents that are new to scouting, out to the community on what's going on. Because what we're going to talk about a little bit later with social media, it's about catching people's attention primarily. So having a text flyer that has 4 or 5 paragraphs on one page, it's not very beneficial. It's not very eye-catching in today's world. So using QR codes to get that information, to have helpful links, when you're out in person at events. I know the different districts use a lot of different recruiting opportunities, a lot of fun community events like rocket rodeos, fishing rodeos, etc. You can easily set up a QR code that scans directly to your unit pin on the scouting website, as well as a way for them to get direct information about your pack or whatever the case may be. So in this PowerPoint, which is on the council website, you can always scan these QR codes and they'll take you to a generator that you can create your own QR code for your pack. So we can add them to flyers going forward for this recruitment season. So thank you.
All right. One of the big things to be mindful of, especially as we're kicking off the recruitment season, is updating your BSScout.org pin, as Michael mentioned a few seconds ago. That is BSScout.org is a great website which allows people from outside of scouting to type in their zip code and find a Cub Scout pack or a troop or a crew or what have you near them. All right, and it'll list them by in zip code by whatever is closest to the center of that zip code, just so that you're aware. You have complete control over your B.S.Scout pin under the organization manager tool in my.scouting. There'll be an option there that says unit pin. You go in there and you can add and change information there as you feel free. And I would always advise, especially as you're coming off of after your blue and golds or your big spring holiday celebrations, and as we're going into summer, make sure you have someone listed on your unit pin who wouldn't mind being checked out in the early fall, so that way you update it right at not too long after recharter is over. As I said, you can it provides also on bscout.org a wonderful map, which can then visualize for those of us who love maps how far different units meet based upon whatever zip code they put in. It's a wonderful tool. Make sure that you keep your information fresh up there, because nothing turns a potential mom off than she asks for information or contacts someone, and that person says, "Oh, I'm no longer part of that pack," and she's like, "Well, if their information is wrong, well, do I really want to join, or do I want my son or daughter to join?" So make sure that you're keeping on top of that.
Okay. So another thing that we can use is Facebook. Facebook is in everybody's lives, whether you use it or not. Facebook is massive and the opportunities are endless. So if your pack does not have, or your unit does not have a Facebook page, a public Facebook page, because I know some units use a private page to share photos and that to parents while they're on while the units are on their trips, whether it be summer camp or a high adventure or just a weekend outing. I would recommend having a public page. So there are some QR codes here on screen that can help with that if you are unsure. Having somebody dedicated in your unit to specifically do this, whether it be to share a conglomerate of photos after a weekend away, could really be beneficial once you start growing in your page, as well as getting out in the local community. Later on we'll talk about making sure we're joining the community groups that your units are located in, because those community groups are very active, very beneficial, and could potentially get you some additional people to show up at your recruiting events that you have out in public. So. It looks like Chaz has dropped out, Brian and Jerry.
Okay. So you want to handle this one, Michael? Do you have a copy of it in front of you, or you have it on the screen? You can-
I would have, yeah, I can do this one for you. Okay, so building a campaign. So key plans for building your campaign, as it says there on the screen, making the most of your social media output. Social media is, again, in everybody's life, whatever the case may be. Updating your calendar that you have on your Facebook page, which you can use. That is an option, and it's highly recommended to use it because not only can you be beneficial in checking out everything that you have in your pack, whether it be in your unit. You can also get out there to the community when they know events are coming up. Boosting, which we'll talk about, which is essentially paid advertisement, where you can get your shares out there exponentially. Instead of getting 40 people seeing your post, you can get up a couple hundred seeing your posts, or a couple thousand depending on the size. Setting up a 6-week social media campaign. That is, just to cover it briefly, you do a post out every single week leading up to an event. 6 weeks is a general rule of thumb, whether it be for something that you're doing as a recruiting event, or even just taking things a step back for a family open house night, where you can invite the community to come in with no commitment, or just so they can see what's going on inside the pack. So hyper local marketing, that's your standard stuff that we normally do, whether it be for flyers, going out to school, posting yard signs out in front of your homes, especially your homes because you're already involved in the scouts. So getting that out there, posters, and especially getting QR codes on there, because not everyone might, take that second to Google what is scouting or local scouts near me, whatever the case may be. They can scan that QR code on that banner or on that flyer up at the local grocery store, and get all that information. And then lastly, spreading the word. So getting your scouts out there, maybe to wear their pack shirts to school one day, or something like that, just so it's very quick. It just gets the eye there. It takes approximately 3 times for someone to be like, that might be something that'll interest me. So the more we get to the word out there, the better we're going to be. Okay.
All right, folks, can you see the sign on the top of my screen that says the remaining time for this event is 7 minutes and 43 seconds?
Yes.
Facebook has finally given me a 30-minute limit on my account. Listen to me, Facebook, Zoom did, and I'm not sure when that changed for my account, but it just recently did. So that's all we have. It used to give me unlimited time. So Michael and Jerry, we're going to skip over the volunteer staff partnership. For the folks that are on here, my apologies. I did not know that I was limited to 30 minutes tonight. But basically that slide's talking about, we want to work together, we being the staff, you being the volunteers, and work that way. So Mike, next slide, the calendar, anything you want to speak of briefly on that?
I mean, what we could do to really simplify the Facebook stuff, for anyone in the Zoom or who watches this later, if you want to talk about how to use Facebook effectively, to really boost your growth and your viewage, you could always send me an email. It's michael.hughes@scouting.org. I can reach out to you, have a phone call, have a Zoom meeting with you, and go over all of this, and I can help with all of that stuff directly. It'll make it a heck of a lot easier for you, just because the growth rate there is just exponential. So.
So I'm going to jump down to Cole. Every pack needs a new parent packet.
Yes. So every pack needs a new parent packet, as Brian mentioned. So what that is basically a guide of just stuff to get a new parent off the ground. So we were handing out packets last night. We will have this scanned in to send to people as well. And the important part too with a new parent packet is having a new member coordinator. And a lot of people have those already. And what that person does acts as basically the liaison between the new families and the unit, to get them set up, say, hey, here's where you get your uniforms, here's answering all your questions. And the cool part about it is if they're on your committee as a new member coordinator, as that position, it actually takes the spot of a committee member. So you just need like one less person during recharter time because that person's already there. And it gives them access to new trainings and whatnot as well. So that's all I have to say about that. So I don't know if Brian wants to add anything about that, or we're good. So
Thanks, Cole. Cole had mentioned every unit is going to get a fall recruitment packet, and we've got a small 8-page, 8.5 by like 10 introduction to Cub Scouting. If you've been around, we've given these out the last couple of years. We've got an information sheet reminding people how to enter their Pennsylvania background checks onto our database. We've got a infographic that talks about the new fees that went up on August 1st. We also have another sheet on pricing that prorates for each month, what the youth fees are, what the adult fees are, and such. We've got something to promote Scout Life magazine. We also have a form that talks about asking your adults to earn 100 points throughout the scouting year to either receive a discount in their fees at the pack level, or maybe their son or daughter are eligible for a special prize gift, reward recognition type thing. So it's a way to help find volunteers. We also have the Family Talent Survey. We've been distributing that for years. We've got a sheet that talks about the mechanics of sign-up night. Jerry Beaver and I feel very strongly that we would like sign-up nights to last 30 minutes or less, so that a family walks in, mom, dad walks in, they get signed up and registered, whether that's on their phone, whether that's on a tablet, or whether that's using a piece of paper. We know that last year in Hawk Mountain Council, we had more people register online electronically than we did on paper. So we know that is a very effective tool. We also have a job description for a new member coordinator or a new member mentor. We hope that every unit can find someone who can welcome the new family in, and not scare them off by saying, we need you to volunteer, we need you to volunteer, we want you to volunteer, but kind of here's how things work. Ease them into the program so that they don't get overwhelmed. Teach them the language of scouting, all those words that we have that the general public doesn't know. We have a list of prices for items in the store. We also have off of the brand center, the B.S.A. brand center, we have peer-to-peer recruiting cards, or what I call business cards. We've got a promotional flyer for October the 15th at camp, which is our Cub Scout Adventure Day. Again, for those of you that have been around, you know what that day is all about. Fun day. So there's a flyer there. There's also a flyer to be able to walk in and talk to your principal or an administrator at school and ask them some questions about how you can help and be active around the school to promote your name and promote the good things about scouting. And we also have a 7-page document with the fall recruitment plan. So it's going to tell you step by step by step what our council is doing, and the majority of every other council in the country is doing with the same membership plan. And then the last one is a list of 5 different QR codes that will take you to B.A.scout.org, Brian on Scouting, ideas for virtual roundtables, ideas for den leaders. There's a sandbox, basically a place to share, and then also a training site. And all you've got to do is take your phone, right, click on those QR codes, and all that information is there. So what we need to make sure that we do as a staff is to get that information in your hands over the next couple of weeks. And then through that partnership, Cole, Michael, Chaz, Ryan are all working right now to contact your public and private schools in the area, coordinate with you for your sign-up nights, your back-to-school nights, whether we can do talks inside the schools, and you know, to coordinate all that. So if you've got any information about when your unit would like to get into your school, when you haven't spoken to those guys yet, please reach out to them this week and we'll get things coordinated. Again, my apologies for being rather short, but I'll give you a half an hour of your life back that you didn't expect this evening. Jerry, what do you want to close with tonight? You're on mute still.
Sorry about that. Just to remind everybody that recruiting is everybody's responsibility, and it's 24/7, 365-day of the year event. We put a big push on in the fall, but we should be looking to recruit at all times and get the word out. You know, scouting is strong. Our numbers